Picture yourself sitting at a table. There's a form in front of you, Social Security filing paperwork. You've been staring at it for 3 weeks. Your financial advisor told you to wait. Your brother-in-law told you to file now. Reddit has 17 different threads about it, and every single one contradicts the last. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you know, this is one of those decisions you can't easily undo. Here's something most people don't know. The Social Security Administration once built a calculator specifically designed to help you make this decision. They put it on their website. Millions of people used it, and then they took it down. Not because the math was wrong, because people kept treating it like it had the final answer. They'd run one scenario, get a number, and stop thinking. Think about that for a second. The government built a tool, watched people misuse it, and said, you know what? That's doing more harm than good. So they deleted it. And now you're sitting at that kitchen table alone with a form. This video is not going to tell you what to do. What it is going to do is walk you through the 7 moments in a person's life where filing at 62 isn't just acceptable, it's the sharper financial move. And by the end, you'll know which of those moments belong to you. This is Quiet Money Grows. Wealth quietly built. Before we get into the 7 reasons, I want to give you a picture that's going to make everything else click. Imagine there's a pipe in your wall. You've been paying into that pipe your entire working life. Every paycheck, every year, for decades. Inside that pipe, pressure is building. Every year you leave it closed, the pressure grows. More flow for when you finally open it. Wait until 70, maximum pressure. The biggest monthly check Social Security will ever send you. But here's what nobody puts in the brochure. The faucet is yours. You already paid for it. And if you wait too long before turning it on, some of that water never reaches you. It just stays in the pipe. Nobody sends you a refund for the pressure you built and never used. Everything about this decision is just one question in different clothes. When do you open the faucet? Let's put real numbers to this. Imagine you're 62. You earned $90,000 in your final working year, upper middle class, realistic for a large portion of Americans considering this exact decision. You have 3 options in front of you. File now at 62, $2,238 per month. Wait until your full retirement age, 67 for most people watching this, $3,198 per month. Hold all the way to 70, $3,966 per month. 3 faucet settings, 1 kitchen table, 1 decision. The way most people approach this is simple. They add up the smaller checks across more years, then add up the bigger checks across fewer years. They find the crossover point, where the 2 totals meet, and they build their entire plan around it. That crossover lands somewhere in your early 80s, which sounds reasonable, until you look at the number they plugged in for life expectancy. Most people assume they'll live to 79. That's average life expectancy at birth. But you're not newborn. You're 62. And if you've made it to 62 without a major health crisis, the actuarial tables say you've already outlasted the people dragging that average down. From where you're sitting right now, the real planning number is closer to 84. 22 more years. That changes the math you thought you already did. If you file at 62 and live to 84, you collect approximately $615,000 in total lifetime benefits. If you wait until 67, you get more per month. But you have fewer months to collect it. Filing early wins that race by about $72,000. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Change the life expectancy assumption by just 3 years, from 84 to 81. And the math flips. Waiting until 67 becomes the better choice. Drop it 6 years to 78, and filing at 62 versus 67 comes out almost identical. The optimal filing age in that scenario? 65, right in the middle, which tells you something important. You're not actually trying to solve early versus late. You're trying to solve a problem where one of the most important variables, how long you'll live, is something you cannot know. That uncertainty isn't a footnote. That's the whole game. Now let's add the variable that almost every break-even calculator quietly leaves out. Every year, Social Security benefits are adjusted for inflation. It's called the cost of living adjustment, COLA. And here's the part that matters for your decision. That adjustment is a percentage of your base benefit. which means if you waited and your base is larger, your annual increases are also larger. It compounds, just like interest. 3% on $3,966 is a different number than 3% on $2,238. And over 20 years of retirement, that difference doesn't just widen, it accelerates. When you run the numbers with realistic COLA assumptions, the lifetime gap between filing at 62 and filing at 70 isn't $70,000. It's $246,000. Not a rounding error, not a footnote. $246,000. That number belongs in your decision. So now you're back at the table. You understand the model. You understand the break-even. You understand what COLA does to the math over time. And you're still sitting there because knowing the framework doesn't tell you what to do with your specific life. Here are the 7 situations where filing at 62 is the cleaner move. See which ones you recognize. The first one most people feel strange saying out loud. Your health. Not in an abstract sense, yours specifically. Think about your father, your grandfather, the men or women in your family who came before you. If that history is short, if the people who share your genetics didn't see their mid-70s, then the break-even point you calculated may be a date you never reach. And every month you waited, building pressure in that pipe, was a month you spent on a strategy designed for a lifespan you may not have. Filing early doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're being honest about whose math you're actually doing. If the pipe is leaking, you open the faucet. Here's a pattern that shows up in retirement spending data, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Spending in retirement is highest in the early years. You're healthy, you're mobile, you've been deferring trips, experiences, freedom for decades, and now you have it. Then as the years move on, the spending naturally slows. Not because you ran out of money, because you ran out of the physical ability to spend the way you wanted to. There's a gap between the life you imagined at 63 and the life that's actually available to you at 79. The money at 79 can buy the same things it could at 63. You just can't do all of them anymore. I want you to imagine someone spent his whole career doing everything right, saved, delayed, built, retired at 72 with more money than he ever expected to have. Year 1, specialists, tests, managing the things that built up while he was busy building wealth. Year 2, more of the same. By the time he had real freedom, no schedule, no obligations, enough money for anything, he couldn't do half the things he'd spent 30 years looking forward to. He had the money. He didn't have the window. That's not a failure of discipline. That's a timing problem. And it's the kind of timing problem that a bigger monthly check in your late 70s doesn't solve. Now imagine you and your spouse are sitting at that table together, and your spouse spent years out of the workforce, raising kids, running the household, supporting your career. Their individual Social Security benefit, if they have one at all, is minimal. What most people don't know is this. Your spouse may qualify for up to 50% of your full retirement age benefit as a spousal benefit, but they can't touch it until you file. Your decision to file unlocks an entirely separate income stream for your household. For some couples, that's the variable that changes everything, not your benefit, your household benefit. That's a different calculation. Picture the standard retirement planning appointment. The advisor looks at the higher earner. You should delay until 70. Maximize that benefit. The higher earner nods. That's the right advice, technically. Nobody in that room asks about the other chair. Nobody mentions that the person sitting slightly back spent 20 years outside the workforce, that their individual benefit is close to zero, that filing early would have unlocked years of spousal income for this household that they're about to leave on the table. They leave with a plan that only accounted for one of them. This one requires you to sit with something uncomfortable. What if your spouse is the higher earner and they've received a serious diagnosis? When a spouse passes away, the surviving partner steps into their Social Security benefit, the survivor benefit. So here's the strategy. You file for your own benefit at 62. You collect your smaller check while your spouse is still alive. When your spouse passes, you switch to their benefit. You weren't waiting for nothing. You were collecting something while the clock was running. and then you stepped into the larger income for the rest of your life. It's not a cold calculation. It's making sure you don't spend 7 years collecting zero when the faucet was right there. You're retired, or close to it. Your portfolio just dropped 40%, and now you need to cover living expenses, which means selling assets. At the bottom, at 60 cents on the dollar, every share you sell in a down market is a share that won't be there when the market recovers. And markets do recover, but you don't get to participate in the recovery with money you already spent. Now imagine you had turned on Social Security 6 months ago. Your living expenses are covered. You don't sell anything. Your portfolio sits, waits, recovers. The Social Security check isn't supplemental income in that moment. It's a shield. And here's the version of this nobody talks about. If you haven't started drawing down your portfolio yet and the market collapses, you file for Social Security, and you take that guaranteed monthly income and put it directly into the market at a 40% discount. You're buying the dip, funded by a government deposit, while everyone else is panicking. That's not reactive, that's deliberate. Here's one that requires you to think about your tax situation specifically. Up to 85% of your Social Security benefit can be taxed, depending on your total income. But right now, if you're in an early retirement gap, before other income kicks in, your taxable income may be low enough that your Social Security benefit barely gets touched. At 73, required minimum distributions start pulling money out of your traditional retirement accounts, whether you want them to or not. That income stacks on top of everything else. If Social Security is already running before that happens, you captured years of benefits at a lower tax rate before the flood arrived. That's not emotion, that's sequencing. The 7th reason is the simplest, and it's the one most people won't say in a financial planning meeting because they feel like they should have a better answer. You need the money. Life didn't go the way the spreadsheet said it would. Medical costs arrived that weren't in the plan, a business didn't work out, a pension disappeared, someone in your family needed you in a way you couldn't have predicted. Social Security was built to be there when life does that. Using it when you need it is not a mistake. It's exactly what the system is for. Let me show you what it looks like when someone puts this together correctly. She's 62, recently retired. Her husband is 65, higher earner, and his Social Security benefit at full retirement age will be $3,600 a month. He also has a serious heart condition. Her benefit at 62 is $2,100 a month. If she waits until 67, that grows to $2,900. The standard advice says, wait, the $800 monthly increase is real. Her husband passes away at 69. At that point, she switches to his survivor benefit. That part was always going to happen, regardless of when she filed. But here's the difference. If she had waited to file her own benefit, she would have collected nothing for those 7 years. Because she filed at 62, she collected approximately $176,000 in her own benefits during the years her husband was still alive, before she ever made the switch. $176,000 she would have left completely untouched. The faucet was available. She turned it on, now. There are situations where waiting to 70 is the right answer. If you're in strong health, if your investment portfolio is solid, if your spouse also has a significant benefit of their own. In that situation, the COLA compounding over time can produce $246,000 more in lifetime income by delaying. That's not nothing. And if your investment portfolio isn't consistently returning above roughly 8% annually, delaying Social Security is effectively a guaranteed 8% return on deferred benefits. Very few investments beat that with any reliability. So this isn't a case against waiting. It's a case against waiting blindly. One more thing you should know before you sit back down at that table. Financial advisors who manage your investments earn fees based on how much you have invested. If you draw Social Security early, you draw down your portfolio more slowly, which means their fee base stays larger, longer. That's not corruption. That's an incentive. Knowing it exists doesn't mean your advisor is wrong. It means you understand whose math they're doing. 3 concrete steps before you touch that form. 1. Run the break-even math yourself. Then move your life expectancy assumption 3 years in each direction. If your strategy completely changes with a 3-year shift, your plan is fragile. You need to understand why before you sign anything. 2. If you have a spouse, put both benefits in the same model. Spousal benefits, survivor benefits. Your decisions are linked. Modeling them separately means you're solving the wrong problem. 3. If you're in a down market, a low-income year, or your family is dealing with a health situation, that's exactly the moment to reconsider the timeline, not the one you set in calmer years, the one that fits the life you're actually living right now. The Social Security Administration deleted their break-even calculator because people kept treating a starting point like a final answer. The decision in front of you isn't really about 62 versus 70. It's about your health, your spouse, your portfolio, your tax picture, the life you actually want to live and how long you realistically have to live it. That faucet is yours. You paid for it for 40 years. The question was never whether to open it. The question is when it makes sense for you to turn it on.